Hey, everybody. Welcome to the 14th episode of Community Driven, where we are live, coming to you live from our grand studios at 5200 Oak Lawn Boulevard in North Prince George. I'm Kevin Strosnider, your host, and I have a very special guest with me today, Mr. Johnny Partin. Thank you for being here today.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
Again, for those of you who haven't been here or haven't seen these, this is a chance for us as a dealership to just highlight people in our community who are doing great things in our community, who are working very hard in our community to uplift our community. And Johnny is a very special person in the community. He is actually the mayor of Hopewell.
Yes, sir.
And how long have you been the mayor of Hopewell?
This is my third year now. Previously 2 years, and I just got appointed again earlier this month.
Okay, awesome. So Johnny is important in Hopewell and in the local politics, but not just about politics. It's about helping and serving our community, and so glad to have him here. So thank you again for being here, and let's just start off by giving our viewers a little bit of background on you, who you are, where you're from, and all that good stuff.
Okay. So again, my name is Johnny Partin. I'm currently the mayor here for the city of Hopewell. I have to confess that I am not a native necessarily from Hopewell. I was born at John Randolph Hospital. I grew up in Enon, just on the other side of the Appomattox River, and graduated from Thomasdale High School. Graduated from VMI in 2014, and got involved with the city of Hopewell, with Keep Hopewell Beautiful, the Friends of the Lower Appomattox River, and some other civic organizations like the Hopewell Kiwanis Club and a few others, and just really enjoyed making a difference in the community. I started attending city council meetings, planning commission meetings, and school board meetings, and there I saw some things that I thought that I could improve upon. I could do better, some new ideas that could be pushed forward, and so I decided to run for city council. It was a three-way race, and I pulled off a victory by less than 50 votes, and then was reelected in 2022, and then currently serving right now my second term here for city council.
Wow. Okay. Less than 50 votes, man. That's a tight race.
That was a tight race, a three-way race with less than 50 votes. I was like, woo, sweating bullets.
Now, tell us a little bit about what do you do, because you're not just a full-time, the mayor of Hopewell is not a full-time position. You also work in the community. So what do you do in the community for work?
Sure. I work over at Fort Gregg Adams as an engineer with the Army Futures Command and the Future Concept Center. I also am an officer in the Virginia National Guard.
Oh, wow.
I'm a public affairs officer for the 329th Regional Support Group. Well, we're based out of Virginia Beach. And, I serve on city council and as mayor. So I keep myself quite busy.
Yes, you do.
I'm an avid triathlete. I love to run, swim, and bike. It's actually a hobby that I picked up. A good friend of mine invited me to come out in 2023, I believe it was, to participate in triathlon.
Okay.
And I had never done it before. It was something new I wanted to, I thought about doing. And so she invited me to come out. And unfortunately, the race that I wanted to do with her, I had National Guard duty.
Nice.
So we had to, postpone for a month until July. And I did it, and I just, fell in love with it.
Yeah.
And so
cool.
it picked up my new favorite hobby now. It finally beat grass cutting and gardening. So for those that know me, those are two things that I really love. So for triathlons to beat grass cutting and gardening, that's really something there.
That's cool. All right. Well, now you know a little bit about Johnny and about his background.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're going to get into the hard-hitting questions.
Okay.
Sure you're
I'm ready.
Bullets over, I'm sure.
I'm ready. I'm ready for the grill session.
So, first question. This is a serious question. Why in the world did you get into politics, dude?
So I got into politics. Most people, do it for, unfortunately, self-serving or, selfish reasons. I got into it because I truly believe that I could offer a better vision and better representation than what was currently being done on city council at the time. And I had, fresh ideas, fresh perspective, Yes, my family, is very much from this community, but I didn't necessarily grow up, here in Hopewell. I spent a lot of time as a kid here in Hopewell, but I mean, I've always loved Hopewell. And, in looking at what other localities have done to make them successful, those are things that I wanted to, try to bring to Hopewell. And, looking back at, the last 6 years that I've been on city council, today we are in a much better place than where we were in 2018. We are seeing, much better improvement, in our operations within, city management. Our finances are improving. We're finally starting to see more good economic development projects, coming forward. We're seeing infrastructure projects getting into design and execution phase. And so there's a lot of good things that are happening in our community, and it's just a really great thing to be a part of.
That's cool. Now, tell me, what is the biggest, positive surprise that you didn't expect coming into this, that you have experienced? One of the things that you thought, man, this is so cool that I'm involved in this, that you didn't know that was going to happen when you got into it.
I think it's the realization, or just grasping your mind around the fact that you can actually be a good change agent for the city, that you can put forth an idea, let it be researched, by the staff, let it be vetted out, and then bring it before the council for an actual vote. And if it passes, it's going to get implemented. That you can see something like, a good example was that on Mansion Drive in Hopewell, there was a lot of inflow and infiltration. It's called I&I, where stormwater gets into the wastewater system and can overload the system. We had issues over there. We had erosion issues, and we also had some other stormwater issues over there. Well, after pushing multiple times for improvements to the infrastructure over there, we finally were able to get the project executed. And ironically, it's funny, one of the gentlemen that I ran against, he ended up getting some improved infrastructure around his property. And so the running joke is, I told him his name's Brandon Butterworth, and we had we had a very clean campaign. Very much focused on the issues, not personalities. And so I joked with him. I said, Brandon, would you ever would have thought in the world of politics today that someone that you ran against on city council would be getting you some curb and gutter for your house? And of course, he just gets a big smile and laughs. And but I mean, it's that realization, I think, for me was the biggest thing, to know that I actually was able to bring about positive change. Being able to, on the finance side for the city, we're able to create now reserve funds and stabilization funds to get our house back in order from issues prior to me being on council, but getting us set up so that way when we can go back and get our bond rating, that it's going to be a good bond rating. It's going to be something that we can actually utilize and take advantage of lower interest rates to fund massive capital projects. It's
interesting you bring up Brandon. Brandon's a great guy. I grew up playing soccer with him, and we grew up in that same time frame, a bunch of us together. Super guy. I really like Brandon. It's interesting in local politics that you can have that where you run against somebody, you have maybe varying ideas, but you can still be cordial. It doesn't seem seem like that happens on the national stage.
No, it doesn't have to be adversarial, and that's what I tell folks. And I all in candidates that run for council that ask me for advice, I just always tell them, say, you don't need to make races adversarial at the local level, because whether you win or lose, this isn't going to be the only time that you're going to be working with folks. There's going to be issues later on down the road where you're going to work together, as team members on the same issue. And I mean, Brandon and I have worked with funding for the Lamb Arts Center. We've worked with things over with the Hopewell Downtown Partnership, and I often joke with them and say, if you want to run for city council, I'm happy to pass the baton off. he gives me, a nice smile and whatnot.
Yeah.
But I mean, really and truly, I mean, that's, the good thing, like you said, about local politics is the fact that it doesn't have to be adversarial. You focus on the issues, you focus on what you want to do, to improve. And, after the race, was called in January, he had put an application to serve on the planning commission, and I was his biggest supporter because I thought he added a lot of value, to the planning commission. Unfortunately, he didn't get enough votes to, get on there, but he would have been a great asset on there.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing that's hard about local, politics and, kind of how the ward system is done in the city is that it's a shame that you have, wards that have so many good people that, it would be great to have, some at-large seats so you could get more, folks involved. And also, I think there's more accountability that way, that you're not just, held accountable to a majority in 1/7 of a city.
Mm-hmm.
You are held to, the standard of, the entire city.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. I am not a very political person.
You're a small business owner. I understand.
Yes,
As I think it was the Neils down at Randolph Market. They just said we don't get involved in local politics because we service everybody, both sides of the aisle. And I said I fully understand.
Yeah. Now tell me. So I mean, there's obviously in local politics and in any type of place where you are serving the public.
Mm-hmm.
My service to the public has always been through churches.
Mm-hmm.
But anytime that you serve the public, there's a lot of good, but then there's some frustration too.
There is.
Tell me some of the things maybe that you didn't recognize or didn't realize, because obviously there's some things that you're going to be frustrated in. But some things maybe you didn't recognize, and how are you overcoming that? How are you all as a council overcoming some of these frustrations?
Yeah, I think probably one of the most frustrating things at the very beginning when I served on council was everything, always came down to personalities. It wasn't focused on the issues at hand. In today's council that we have, it's so different. I mean, you go back and you look at a city council meeting from early 2019 versus what we have today. And yes, we still have our issues today, but our meetings are so much better run. We are much more cordial with each other up on the dais. The meetings don't last nearly as long as what they've done in the past, and we're getting more things accomplished and moving forward. Again, we still have our struggles, but in terms of civility, on the city council, we're much better off today than where we were many years ago. And, how to overcome that, you got to just work on building relationships. When I first came in, I was in the minority. I mean, I was. There was no way that I was going to be able to strong arm, force anything that I wanted to come to fruition, because I knew right off the bat that I was in the minority, and I had to work on building trust, rapport, and relationships with individuals that were in the majority, and that it takes time. It's not something that you can just snap your fingers at doing. It's something that you've got to work at, and it takes a lot of time and effort to do that. But once you've done that, then people start seeing that, oh, okay, we can work with this individual. We can trust this person. And then you can really start bringing about things. That's one way I was able to get, a lot of curb and gutter projects done in the city. That's one reason why I was able to get the street lighting upgraded to LED lighting, much brighter. That's how we were able to get in, some improvements down at the police department with pay raises. With getting them onto the step plan, how we were able to get new police vehicles, things like that. You've got to really work on relationships.
Absolutely. What are the biggest things we have coming down the pike for Hopewell that are in the planning stages that you can speak about?
Well, there's some things I can't talk about, but I will tell you the thing that I'm most excited about is getting the Riverwalk finished down to the marina.
Okay.
It's something that Wayne. I joke with Wayne Walton. I said, you may be the the father of the Riverwalk, but I just want to be the son of the Riverwalk. It's such a wonderful project, asset to the city that promotes quality of life, good, physical fitness. It's wonderful that people, from all around the region will come down, view it. It's, won, environmental excellence awards from the governor's office. And then, once you connect it, from downtown down to the marina, you open up economic development so much more. And some other things that I'm also excited about. I'm very much a riverfront person. I love the river. Big environmental person. And we're making great improvements down at the marina now. We've got some other things that are coming along the way. Our delegate Kerry Coyner and our state senator Lashreese Aird, they both entered in budget amendments at the state level that are currently being talked about right now about getting another infusion of capital dollars down there at the marina and extending the Riverwalk out as far as our city property goes towards Weston Manor. See if we can get some improvements done at the Weston Manor Pier as well. And you really focus on highlighting that riverfront asset that we have.
So is there like a timeline in place for doing that? Is there?
So it's all coming down to if we can get the money. The faster we can get the money, we can start greenlighting things.
Absolutely.
And what I would love is that if we can secure it from the General Assembly, then we can start issuing POs to get some updated engineering plans. Then we can get stuff put out for bid, and then once the money hits the account, then we can start moving forward. I mean, it just is so much, of course, just depending on funding. But if we can get the assurances, and if some of these other grants that come in that we've applied for at the state level and with private foundations, I mean, we can really start seeing things moving fast.
Yeah, absolutely. I do know my experience, again, like I said, I've never been in politics, but I've been in churches, and I know that typically in politics and churches, they share this thing in common. When you want a project done, you can hurry up and wait.
Yes, very much so. Very much so.
It takes time.
It does.
Decisions are not made quickly. And
I know you just wish that you just had, because people think, that as mayor or a member of city council, you got a magic wand and you can just whirl the thing and just point to something. It's like, boom. It just happens, like the fairy godmother giving Cinderella that beautiful ball gown. I wish that I could do stuff like that. But there is a legitimate process that's in place, for specific reasons.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's get off of the whole the political side, the mayor's side, and tell us. So you mentioned this triathlon. Tell us about this a little bit more. How many have you competed in, and all that stuff?
So I think I've done I'm coming up to 10 triathlons I've done now.
My goodness.
I just did my first half Ironman last year. I went out to Michigan, and it was a 1.2 mile open swim. So you basically just made a big loop. And I think it was Betsy Bay in Frankfort, Michigan. But you basically just made a big loop. Then you came out, you got on your bike, you did 56 miles on the bike, you came right back in. And then you went and ran a half marathon and then came right back in. And I know people think that I sound crazy when I say this, but I mean, it's so satisfying to know that, you train, that you work hard for this. And, when you cross that finish line, it's really just a total moment where you're just like, wow, I can't believe I just did that. I can't believe I just did 70.3 miles today.
Yeah, that's nuts. That truly is amazing. I've got a good buddy. You may know him, Bertie Rotzel.
No, that name sounds real familiar.
His father's in Prince George Parks and Rec, but Bertie's he's big. He wants to do these 100-mile marathons that are like across the country. It's crazy. Man, you're crazy. You're nuts. But it is neat because you're trying. You're accomplishing something, and you can feel good about that accomplishment. But it's that test of pushing yourself. How far can you go, and what you can accomplish?
Yeah, I mean, mental fortitude. And also the other thing is, I like to think that it's also a way to help inspire and encourage other people to take an interest in their physical health and working to improve their overall physical capabilities,
Yeah.
their overall quality of life.
Yeah.
Because I'll be the first to say, before I started doing triathlons, my blood pressure was through the roof. Of course, being involved in politics and dealing with the National Guard on some things, and then just everyday life. My blood pressure was through the roof. My doctor immediately was like, "We've got to put you on some blood pressure medicine."
Yeah.
So I end up getting on a small dosage, and he also went through, tested cholesterol and all this other stuff. My cholesterol was almost 300, which is horrible.
Yeah.
And so I went on a more Mediterranean diet, and I did cheat a little bit. I have had some cheeseburgers and steaks, but I focused more on the white meat, the more vegetables, fruits, clean foods, whole grains. And over time, and taking up more physical fitness and activity, doing these triathlons, going down to Walker's Gym. I love Walker's Gym. I love Jeannie and Barry's classes. I try to go to as many of them as I possibly can. And met so many good friends down there. And I saw my cholesterol numbers drop. Now down into like the lower 200s, which is exceptional improvement. I've also seen my blood pressure improve, where now I'm able to look at getting a reduced dosage, and if I can pass the blood pressure test with the doctor, then he's going to keep me on that lower dosage, which is really good, because I don't want to be on like a medication at my young age. But what I want people to see is that if I can do it, then you can do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I don't expect people, and I don't want to encourage people that are overly nervous about going and doing a half Ironman. But go out and do some swimming. Go out, ride a bike, walk, run. Go do a fun class at Walker's Gym. That's my shout out for today. But you focus on improve, getting more physical activity, because it gives you such good mental clarity, improve your quality of life, and you'll just feel so much better.
Yeah, that's cool. I'll give a little shout out too. I got my start lifting weights at Walker's Gym.
I tell you,
15 years old, I think. Old man Walker, who's no longer with us, but he was a great man.
Oh, I tell you, I've heard some wonderful stories about him.
Yeah, he was an awesome guy. Well, cool. Well, Johnny, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Sure.
It's good to get to know you as a person, and to be able to share you with our viewers, and to get a little insight into the local Hopewell politics and the ups and downs that come along with that. So thank you so much for being here. I do have a couple questions for you real quick.
Okay.
All right. So some of these are going to be really, really hard.
Okay.
Really hard.
I'm ready. I got grilled yesterday at a city council meeting. I'm ready today.
I do a lot of self-improvement. I'm always trying to make myself better. I try not to just rest on who I am today, but to be better tomorrow than I was today. And I find that I read a lot of books, and I find that books have really helped me in my life. Is there a particular book that you have read or that has influenced you in a positive way?
Yeah, so there's a book. Now, I know people are going to think I'm a little crazy when I say this, but my great aunt wrote a book, and it was about her life, where she in her book, she says, she was so poor that she was jealous of the preacher's kids. And of course, everyone knows preachers do not make money at all. And, she rose through some of the most difficult life situations between, the Great Depression, bad marriages, and eventually went on to become the mayor of Sausalito out in California, just across the bay from San Francisco. The book's called Lady of the House.
Okay.
And it's a great book. It's a fun read. It's when you read it, you feel like you're actually talking with Sally Stanford.
That's interesting.
And she has so many life lessons in there, of never giving up, pushing through. If you don't succeed now, regroup and try again. I would say that's probably my favorite book. that I just enjoyed reading.
That's
But there's also some other books. I did enjoy reading before coming into politics. They always recommend that you read things like Sun Tzu's Art of War,
Yeah.
or Machiavelli's was it The Prince?
I'm not as familiar with
I remember it's the Machiavelli book, but you're not going to theoretically war,
Yeah.
but there's a lot of good principles that you can pull from that.
Life principles.
Exactly.
Principles,
Exactly. And you can take a lot of those and apply them to your everyday life.
Absolutely.
And work to become successful.
Yeah. Now, let's imagine for a second that you have got all of our area, all of Hopewell, Prince George, the local area. You've got everybody in this area. You have their attention. You got 1 to 2 minutes, and you've got to impart on them the best piece of wisdom that you can do in about a minute or two. What would you say?
What I would say is, don't ever count yourself out. There have been many days where I didn't think that I was succeeding. I didn't think I was moving forward. I didn't think that I was achieving everything that I should be achieving. But you just take a step back and you reflect, and you tell yourself, something, I'm in the position right now that 10 years ago I was wishing that I was in. And to know, you look back at what your actual successes were. And one lady, a good friend of mine, when she was helping me out with my campaign, she used the metaphor of you're pushing a boulder up the hill. And every day you may only make 1 step, you may only make 2 steps. There might be days where you make 20 steps, but you keep pushing the boulder. You don't stop. Because the day that you stop is the day that you start falling behind. And you just keep pushing forward. You always try to, like you said, focus on self-improvement and taking advantage of every day and try to make yourself a little bit better.
That's awesome. Well, cool. Thank you for that. That's a good piece of wisdom.
Sure.
All right. Last question. Most important question is, what is your all-time favorite car?
Ooh, my all-time favorite car. I guess I would have to say a Strosnider Chevrolet.
Do you have a particular car that you like?
Oh gosh, that's a tough one. I think I'm going to have to say that I am very partial, and I think it's just for sentimental reasons, to the 1999 Dodge Durango.
Really?
And I think it was because when my mom got that car as a kid, and of course I was really small. I mean, I'm talking, I'm like 6, 7 years old. And I thought the thing was like a battleship. And it was cool because you had all these buttons on the dashboard. You had AC in the back that you could play with. And it had an outlet where we could put a small VHS TV in there when we went down to Florida, and we would hook the cord up and stick it into the to the power outlet / cigarette lighter. And I mean, I just so many fond memories in that car. And there was a birthday party that my sister went to, and I was on my best behavior, and I caught my mom at like the perfect moment. And we were driving to go somewhere. I think we were going to McDonald's or something to get like ice cream while she was at the party. And I asked my mom if I could sit in the front seat. And I think at that point I may have been like 10 years old or something like that. And my mom was like, okay, you've been good. And so, at such a young age, being able to sit in the front seat, you can actually put the CD in and out that you wanted to listen to. I would just have to say, just for pure nostalgic reasons, I love that 1999 Dodge Durango, beautiful silver. And then I bought it off my parents, after I graduated from college, and I held it all the way until, ironically, it died on the road. it was maybe like a tenth of a mile past Wawa over here on 36. And I mean, I'm driving and the car just shuts off. And I mean, I'm literally just, I'm in the left-hand lane and I'm coasting. I can't, put any gas or anything. I can still brake, but I couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
And so I was just like, yep, we just gonna pull ourselves right on over in here into Walgreens. I think that's the pharmacy right there.
Yeah.
Whatever pharmacy it is at Ashland 36. And you just pulled right in there, called Butch Capielli to come tow me, and that was it. I was done. I said, no, you ain't getting a second chance.
That's funny. That's funny. Well, cool. Well, Johnny, thank you so much. And this is just a little thank you from us to you. Thank you so much for being here today. Thank you for sharing some time with us. Again, thank you, everybody, for sharing some time with us. We appreciate Johnny being here, and we appreciate you being a part of our family, and we appreciate being able to bring people from our community to you. This concludes the 14th episode of Community Driven with Strosnider Chevrolet. Thank you so much, and we will see you next time.
Thank y'all.